求め続けたあの日の夜。
What's up, everybody? This is Tyler coming at you with Degen episode 73, Bullshit Hour. And today we're going to be doing a review of Tower of God Season 1. And because we're going to be doing Tower of God Season 2 on the rundown, it was decided in like the poll that we run everywhere. Today I'm missing Dan, obviously, and Bass. They're gone this week. But I got a special guest. Y'all have seen him a couple times before. His name is Nam. Um, and how you doing, Nam?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. It's actually like cooled down a lot up here. Where I'm at. I know I've been complaining about the heat the past few days. Today it wasn't too bad until the afternoon, but thankfully I stayed inside most of the day watching Tower of God, trying to get ready for tonight's episode. So, um, it could have been worse,
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. I'm glad
uh,
that you finally took the time to watch this show. I'm really glad that we're doing this.
yeah, I've been meaning to for a minute. But this is a push, it took to get me there. I ended up watching all 13 episodes. I think I started like yesterday at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the evening. For then my power went out for like 3 hours, and then I went to bed, and so I ended up having to watch episodes 5 through 13 today, which was fun to try to do. But yeah, here we are, I guess. But before we get started, just want to let y'all know the best way to support us is to rate the podcast on your platforms. Spotify. I think we got like 20 some ratings or whatever. Give us a 5-star over there. Uh, give us, like and a follow on anything. So make sure you tell your friends. Tell them about us. If they like anime, they'll probably enjoy us. Um, like if you have anything interesting for us to talk about, anything you want us to talk about or review, let us know in the Discord. Also, make sure you follow Nam. He's on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. He's on Twitch as well. The links will be in the description like usual. I don't know. Do you have anything else you want to shout out, Nam?
No, that's. Yeah. I mean, if you guys follow me, I would appreciate it. I'll follow you back. Don't expect much content for now, but who knows? I'm down to interact though. If you guys wanna tag me, you wanna ask me any questions or anything like that, I'm an open book.
Hell yeah. I think it's the gaming anomaly on Twitter and Twitch, I believe. Like I said, the
Yes.
links will be in the description. If I remember, I'm gonna try to tag him on Twitter as well when this episode drops. So hopefully
We'll
I
see what
remember.
happens.
Yeah.
I'll track it down if not.
Yeah. But the first thing we got a few pieces of news today before we get into our Tower of God review. The first bit of news is Bleach Thousand Year Blood War Part 3. Apparently it's gonna be streaming in 2024, which is this year. I wasn't aware of that. I haven't really seen anywhere where it showed that it was gonna be streaming this year, like an official release date. But apparently we're gonna get like a sneak peek on July 6th at the Anime Expo, which is going to be super fun. And hopefully we get some more information about when it's actually going to be coming out. I hope it's like the fall season or whatever. That would be super fun because fall is absolutely stacked. So, but
Oh
I
yeah.
guess, Nam, you want to get us into the next
Yep.
bit of news?
Yep. The next bit of news we have for you guys, Blue Lock. Two pieces of news. Two. We are getting a double treat today. First bit of news, episode Nagi movie in theaters now in the US. If you guys are interested in it, if you've ever seen season 1, I highly recommend checking it out. I myself am going to, so definitely going to be excited to go see that. Second bit of news, season 2 drops in October. One thing
Yeah.
that you guys are going to learn about me is that I am a huge buff for all of these sports animes, and Blue Lock was really thrilling, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they announced Blue Lock season 2. That's like a uh that just come out of nowhere, especially with this movie just pop up or whatever. Usually there's a movie and then we have to wait a while or whatever. But like we're literally getting a movie and then the season like pretty close together. So that's pretty cool. So
Yep, and they announced them fairly shortly too together, so
yeah.
that was awesome to hear.
Also the next bit of news we got is Unnamed Memory season 2 is going to be coming out in January 2025. I have no idea how this got a season 2 because like they made the pacing so fast and they skipped a lot of things from the original story. It was just unbearable for me. I ended up dropping it or whatever. So it's just crazy to see this get a second season, but I'm sure there's some people out there just pretty happy. I think it went over pretty decent for a majority of people. So
Another bit of news that's coming out in 2025, Windbreaker Season 2. If you guys heard the last mid-season review that we did, you know that I was a big fan of Windbreaker, and I still am. Fantastic character development, so I'm really excited to see that that's getting another Season 2 already announced.
yeah, and that I think the finale happened today, I believe, and so they announced this like pretty much immediately. So that's a big W for like us people that
Yeah.
have been watching Windbreaker, really enjoyed it. So but the next piece of news that we got, pretty big actually. It's going to be a remake of Ramna One Half, and I'm not sure if you know about this one, Nam, but it's like a really old show, and we're obviously getting remakes, you know, of older things more often now, and I think this is going to be huge, especially if
Yeah.
it does good. We got Rurouni Kenshin. Now we getting Ranma. So I mean, I love seeing these older shows. Get a little bit more touch in the newer days. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I haven't seen, like I said previously, I haven't seen the first Spice and Wolf, but if Ranma Half remake is going to be anything like how Spice and Wolf is going, I'm definitely going to be checking it out myself.
yeah. Uh, Also, Tsukimichi season 3 was also confirmed, which is going to be big news for some people. I haven't ever watched Tsukimichi yet, but I've always heard it was pretty decent. Maybe sometime soon I'll be able to get it all watched, and maybe I'll get to join season 3. So
It was a funny show. I think you'll like it.
it's a
It's a
guy, right?
unique take. Yeah, it's an isekai. I would liken it to Slime. Probably a little
Okay,
bit more slapstick though.
okay.
But speaking of threes, I am actually really happy to hear this. Demon Slayer finale will be a trilogy. So we
Yep.
are actually going to be in for a huge treat with this one, guys. I hope that they continue to add more fan service like they did with the opening sequence. Seeing that castle,
Yeah.
man, just keep whatever you guys are doing over there, keep doing it, please. All throughout this entire saga, just keep it up.
Yeah, I heard the finale was gonna be like Omega banger, and especially we know Demon Slayer likes their movies, they like their money or whatever. I have no doubt in my mind that these movies will like break records probably in the theaters. So
Oh, hands down, it is. Every single one of them will easily on their own. They're gonna break their own records. Actually,
yeah.
I'm predicting it now. They're gonna be bigger than Star Wars.
Yeah, in Japan and in the world probably. So,
Yeah, I mean, okay, maybe Star Wars might be a stretch, but they can take down Avatar.
yeah, people love their Demon Slayer in the theater. So, um, but that's basically all we got for news. There's quite a bit. I can't wait for like Anime Expo because there's gonna be a lot of news dropped there, which will be like July 6th that weekend, I think. If I'm not mistaken, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or whatever. But since we're done with the news, we're gonna move on to our Tower of God season one review. Um, Now, as all reviews that we do on the podcast, we do a spoiler-free review first, and then we warn everyone. And before we move on to the deeper dive of some of the, you know, plot points and stuff that we want to discuss, because that will have spoilers in it. But as always, I always put timestamps in the description. So make sure y'all, check that out. If you haven't ever seen Tower of God and you want to know, if we think it's good or whatever, you can just listen to a spoiler free version of it and just come back after you're done watching and listen to the spoiler zone and see what we're thinking. Um, Before we
Get
get
our
started,
inside thoughts.
yeah. Before we get started, just a little bit of information about Tower of God. This is an anime from 2020. It's from Telecom Animation Film. That's the studio that did it. It's done other works like Orange, Nagatoro, Astronaut, recent season, and quite a bit more of stuff. It's got a 7.55 on Mal, and season two is coming in this next season, which is summer this year. But it's going to be a different studio this time. Answer Studio is going to be taking over, which I'm not sure about them because they don't have a whole lot under their belt. And I think the most popular one that I've seen was like Garden of Words. So, but we'll see how it goes. This is obviously based off of manhwa that has 8.38 on Mal. I think it come out in 2010. And the
Yep.
artist is like SIU. So that's basically the rundown of Tower of God. Before we get started, I want to give y'all a summary real quick. And it goes, there is a tower that summons chosen people called regulars with the promise of granting their deepest desires, whether it be wealth, fame, authority, or something that surpasses them all. Everything awaits those who reach the top. 25th Bam is a boy who had only known a dark cave, a dirty cloth, and an unreachable light his entire life. So when a girl named Rachel came to him through the light, his entire world changed. Becoming close friends with Rachel, he learned various things about the outside world from her. But when Rachel says she must leave him to climb the tower, his world shatters around him. Vowing to follow after her no matter what it takes, he sets his sight on the tower and a miracle occurs. Thus begins the journey of Bam, a young boy who was not chosen by the tower but opened its gates by himself. They call his kind irregulars, beings that have shaken the very foundation of the tower each time they set foot inside it. And that's a pretty interesting summary. This was a pretty interesting show. So to start our spoiler free, uh, segment, I just want to ask: did we watch it subbed or dubbed? I watched it subbed, Japanese subtitles. So like, would you watch it as Nam?
I watched it in dubbed.
Okay. So
Nothing.
did
I
you
was gonna say
enjoy it?
I did enjoy it. Yeah, there's no particular reason why I did it. It was just simply when I started the anime, it was in English. I kept it going, and I mean, I might go back and watch it with the subbed, but as far as like the voice acting and stuff like that, I thought that it was still pretty spot on. I mean, there are a lot of animes where it doesn't like the acting doesn't quite match up with the English actors, but this one was, I feel, pretty spot on.
Okay. Did
What about
you
you?
did you did you watch any of it in subbed or no?
No, none of it in subbed
Okay.
yet. So,
Uh,
what about you? What was your take on it?
so obviously I really like subbed. Watching things in subbed. There's only a few things that I don't watch in subbed. Um, but I really enjoyed it. It had some heavy hitters, honestly. Like the what's his name? Leroy Raw, the blonde instructor with the little dots on his eyes or below his eyes, you know?
Yeah.
So that is I knew it was somebody, and it's actually Nanami from JJK.
Okay.
So like when he started talking like the low stuff or whatever, I was like, damn, that reminds me of somebody. And it's like I
Okay.
said, it's actually Nanami. Um Also, I think it is who is it? One of them is like uh what's his name? Bakugo and a few others too.
Okay.
It's Kun, the blue-haired dude. That
Yeah.
is actually Bakugo and quite a bit of other people as well, the Japanese. So I really
Okay.
like it had some heavy hitters in here. So I really
Okay.
enjoyed the subtitle a lot, subs a lot. I'm
Sounds
not
like I'll have to go
sure.
back and watch it subbed.
Yeah. I would definitely recommend it because, like I said, they have some heavy hitter voice actors coming in swinging hard. So, was there anything that
Nice.
stood out for you on the dub side?
No, not really. Like I said, the voice acting itself was pretty spot on. The
Okay.
actors, they really seemed to understand what their role required. I feel like instead of just finding actors, they more or less sought out talented voice actors specifically for this dub. Um,
Okay.
all around it was just really well done, really excellent. The emotions were portrayed perfectly well for the animations and everything else.
Yeah, I'm
Speaking of
looking.
animation,
I'm looking in the Bam, whatever you want to call him.
yeah,
The English dude for him, he's actually Ichigo and a quite a
okay,
other different people. It's Johnny Young Bosch. So
okay, yeah. See, I mean, exactly that. Like they really took the time to make sure that their voice actors were really good,
yeah.
and it fit very well. Um, but speaking about animation, that art style, um, at first, right, like I booted it up and I was like, man, this is really kind of bad.
Yeah, it's not really like sharp. It's like fuzzy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was like, was this a high school project that animated it and they got like really good voice actors? Um, but yeah, no, it was weird. It threw me off at first, but honestly, as the season went on, it did start to sharpen up, and it seemed more like it wasn't necessarily like an accident, but more like an actual design choice.
Yeah, I think it was a design choice. Now I know you read some of the manhwa. Like, is this the style of art that was in the manhwa? Do
It
you
was
remember?
it was pretty close from what I can remember. Granted, it's been a while.
Okay.
Like you mentioned, it came out in 2010. I downloaded webtoons back in 2016, I want to say, for the first time, and there was like three different ones that I was reading, and then I found Tower of God finally. I only read about 7 chapters of it. It wasn't a lot, and it's just that I didn't have a lot of time to continue doing webtoons, but, um, it was it was really, really interesting story, and, honestly, the adaptation I feel is pretty good. From what
Okay.
I've read. Now, granted, I did learn some new stuff while watching this. I haven't read that far ahead. As I understand it, it's been completed for a while, but all the same, I was very shocked when I finally did hear about this, and I was like, "That sounds familiar." Then I found out I read a few chapters of it. So, but no,
Yes.
they do a really good job, and they have a lot of I think the art style really hits the manhwa perfectly.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I don't think the manhwa is over. Actually, I think it's just still going. Maybe it's on a hiatus. I'm not really sure. I just know it's not done yet. I don't think. Um, but the
Even
best way I
better.
can like describe like the animation or the art style is crude. You know what I mean? But the thing is like even though this art style looks kind of bad or whatever overall, it's still not that bad because it didn't like take away from my enjoyment of the show. Honestly, you know what I mean? Like it was there, like it was
I
noticeable or whatever, but I still enjoyed watching it. So
I I would even venture to say that because of the nature of the story, that it was almost warranted, that kind of art style.
okay, yeah, and I think the animation, I think they did a good job with the animation, and it made it less like jarring, like less bad. So, um,
Yeah. No,
in my
very, very
opinion.
smooth. Very smooth
So,
animation despite the crude overlook. Um, but no, amazing, amazing job, honestly, overall. I was highly thrilled with it. Am I gonna call it the next One Piece? No. Am I gonna call it Demon Slayer? Hell no. But it's definitely good, and if you start it, it gets better. Just keep watching.
okay.
But as far as that goes too, what about that opening song?
So, like, as far as like the OP and ED goes, I really enjoyed the OP more. Um, like I think both of them fit, but I like the OP quite a bit more. It just like the ED, it was all right, but it's not anything that's gonna keep me watching every time, you know. But like, if I wasn't in
No.
such a hurry to catch up, that way we could do this tonight or whatever, I probably would have listened to the OP every time because that's just how much I enjoyed it. So, um,
Super catchy,
yeah,
really well done.
it's got a lot of good visuals too. So I really enjoyed that. I think it's got like a bird or eagle or some shit flying, which is really fun.
Feather
So
falls at the
yeah.
beginning, yep.
Um, but I mean, did you say you enjoyed? Did you enjoy the ED or no?
Not as much.
Okay.
Not as much.
Oh.
It's not bad. Okay, it's not bad. It's not enjoyable. It's good for a listen once or twice,
Okay.
but
So,
no. Well, well,
moving on.
well, well done, overall, as far as the soundtrack and all the sounds and everything, it was well done. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was fixing to say, like the OST or whatever. I think I enjoyed like the OST. It like all the background music and stuff. It added a lot of like I guess person like it added to the show a lot more. In moments that was very suspenseful. Like you could hear like the piano and stuff like going on in the background. Like it was very like classical type of background music, and I felt like it really fit the show, and it really like made you feel um like what you were supposed to feel or whatever. So as far as that goes, it done a good job. I know Kevin Pankin was the person who is in charge of all that or whatever, and he's done some like phenomenal OSTs in the past. One of my favorites of like recent times was actually Apothecary Diaries. He did that one, and like I just really loved how he put that together. I know he's done Made in the Abyss. Um, he's also done Rising of the Shield Hero as well, and like quite a bit more stuff. So he's like a really good, uh, he really knows how to do his job well. So
Most definitely.
but I guess you know, I guess we can get into like what our first impressions of this show was. Like what did we think without spoilers or whatever obviously about this show when we first started watching this, right?
Hmm. For me, I think it was ultimately again reading the manga a little bit. Like, holy shit! Seeing it finally animated was really cool, but also just being able to have it more fluidly told, right? And stuff like that. But it's intriguing because it reveals so many questions and it answers so little. So there's a lot of mystery and world building that it does in really such a short amount of time.
Mhm.
13 episodes, and now you're left with what could potentially be 7, 8 seasons worth of content to delve into. Would
Yeah.
you agree?
Yeah, this, like you said, this was I felt like this was like a very good start. Like the first episode, it really takes off running, literally, you know what I mean? Um
Mhm.
like you don't really get a chance to uh think about too much. Like it's just straight into it. Like you're like, oh shit, like what's happening, type of thing. Like what are we doing? What's going on? It's like really fast paced or whatever. And then like when you think it's gonna be something or whatever, it's gonna be one style. The second episode comes in and just does like a complete turn. Like, oh, this is gonna be a dark show, you know, because that's what the second episode does to you. It just turns dark all of a sudden, and you're like, oh shit, like it's really like that. And so, like the first episode, like didn't totally hook me, but the second episode did. The second episode, I was like, okay, this is actually pretty like interesting. Like all this shit that they're talking about, and like it made me want to keep on watching. And then from there, like literally, I just couldn't. Like I didn't want to stop. Like the episodes is 20 some minutes a piece, and it literally didn't feel like 20 minutes. It felt like 10 at most. Just because they just went so fast. Uh, and I enjoyed this a lot. So
Yeah.
um
Anything
but
you didn't like?
well, I was gonna say, speaking of the things that I did like, before I get into the things I didn't like, the things I really enjoyed was like you said, all the mysteries. There's like a lot of mysteries going on in this tower, and like this whole season or whatever. Um, they do this thing where they gradually like I guess give us information or whatever as the story goes on. They don't really give us a whole lot of info dump in the beginning. It gives us what we need as we go, and that makes it like mysterious overall. Um, and the action in this show is pretty decent as well. Coupled with the animation, which was really done well. Um, but yeah, that's basically what I liked about it. It was just a great action show about a tower and with a lot of mysteries going on and like a lot of like character interactions and like development, and like we just don't know a whole lot about any of these people. So,
Yeah,
what
no,
about you?
that's what I really enjoy about it too, is that you only learn what you really need to know at the moment.
Yeah.
You get drip fed the information slowly over time, which which again just it helps build to that allure, that world building, that craving of what's next.
Okay. Yeah. Anything you didn't? like then?
The animation at first.
Okay.
It it,
The
it
art
was
style or the animation?
the art style more
Okay.
so. The
Okay.
art style was hard to take in for the first couple episodes. Um,
Like I said, everything just looks so jagged. Like the lines look so fuzzy and jagged, you know? So I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. We'll cover more about that in the spoiler zone.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing that I
Um,
didn't really like though, there wasn't a whole lot. Like Nom said, the art style was a little bit of a funny thing. But at least they kept it consistent or whatever, and it wasn't like horrible enough that I didn't want to watch it or whatever. One thing I didn't like is I want to know more about the world outside the tower, like where like Bam and Rachel came from, where everybody's coming from, because we don't really see that. We just see like there's so much good world building inside the tower, right? But they don't really world build outside the tower. And I really wanted to see that. So, and we didn't get any of that really in season 1. So,
no, not at all. I mean, I guess another question though could be: is there even world outside of Tower?
yeah, that's that's something we don't really know. So, I don't
But at
know.
the same time, no, it's a very valid question because I mean, you're only building up one aspect, and yeah, you hear about some stuff, but without actually seeing it and them building upon it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
guess it's tough though, because there's so much that is going on inside of the tower.
yeah. I'm not sure how many floors there are. I know there's like more than 77, right? So, but other than that, I have no idea. Um, but I guess closing like the spoiler free zone. We got like a couple more things. If someone wanted to watch a show that is somewhat similar to this, what anime would you recommend them?
I want to hear your recommendation first.
So I think that I would give them something like I got a couple. I think um my first biggest one that this kind of reminds me of is Sword Art Online, just because it's kind of the same is it's somewhat the same premise, right? So that like they're trying to go up in this tower or whatever, right? And it's got levels and like all this other stuff. And I think that Tower of God may be a little bit darker than Sword Art Online, but I'm not sure because I've only seen like the first couple of seasons of Sword Art Online and then I stopped watching. So, but I really think that that's a pretty similar show, I guess. If you like Tower of God, you would probably like Sword Art Online, at least for a little while. Um, Another one is like Solo Leveling. I think people would like Solo Leveling if they enjoyed this show because it does have that darker, grittier side, with some like decent world building inside the dungeons or whatever. So, but what
Okay.
about you?
Uh, um,
You got any?
Honestly, it's hard. I'll piggyback off of one of yours. I'll say Sword Art Online, but only season one. Only season one. Season two, when they got to Gun Gale Online, it stopped being all about that whole tower climbing thing. I would maybe even say something like Jujutsu Kaisen.
Okay.
Um, it's kind of hard to elaborate on why entirely because of spoilers, but I will
Yeah.
say the darker undertone or overtone in Jujutsu Kaisen's case is definitely the biggest reason why I would probably recommend it. Um, and other things that happen in JJK.
Okay. Um, with that being said, I think it's pretty clear that me and Nam both would recommend this to people to watch. I think we both enjoyed this pretty decently. And like it, we should probably move on to our ratings for season one before we move on to the spoiler zone. So, what do you think? What you got this at season one?
I'm gonna give it an 8. I'm
Okay.
gonna give it a solid 8. It did a great job. Like I said earlier, it built up a great world. It set everything up. There's a lot of stuff that we'll be covering soon that we're ready to have answers for, or just see continue playing out. Um, and highly recommend watching it or even reading it.
Okay. Yeah.
What about you?
So for me, it's gonna be. I'm gonna give it like a. I would give it like an 8.5. I think like mid 8.8. You know, I don't think it's a 9. I think that the second season maybe could push up to a 9. Maybe if they like, it just depends on how it goes. But this is definitely like an 8.5 for me. Uh, like I said, I really enjoyed it. I think that it could have been pushed up a little bit more higher towards the 9 if like the art style was a little bit better. Um, I felt like that was one of the main things that was lacking. So, uh, but I guess that's it for a spoiler free zone. We tried to keep all the spoilers out and just basically gave our general thoughts on everything spoiler free. Now we're going to move on to the spoiler zone. So you're warned now. Everything past this point is going to be, you know, through season one of this Tower of God. We're going to be talking about a little bit of everything. So, yeah. So go watch it, come back, listen to us, you know, see what's up, you know. Um to start this deeper dive, like I want to know like what your favorite character was. Like was there any that stood out to you?
Um, Larora for one.
Okay.
Larora was definitely a big standout character. Um, he there was just something about him that draws you in and really makes you wanna dive into that. Um, I would
Yeah.
also say Rachel.
you
For different reasons than what you're thinking, calm down over there.
I was
YouTube chat.
I'm just trying to think. You know we're talking about favorite, right? Favorite characters, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. That's interesting.
Um,
So,
well, because again, we're in the spoiler zone now. Do 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 do. There's so much intrigue behind her character with everything that she's done. The betrayal, the leading on, the sneakiness, right?
yeah,
All of that is all just it why?
yeah.
Why?
I agree. I agree that she is a great character, but you know, even though she's a great character, I can't say that she's my favorite. So, you know
She
what I
she is
mean?
she is gonna be one of my favorites. And then I'm gonna be very cliche on this one. Bam. He's
Okay,
the main character. I mean, you have to.
okay.
If you don't, what you better really, really like the villain then. And the villain better be a permanent villain too, not someone that goes away. You know, they gotta be like a Sasuke kind of villain.
Okay. Uh, you know, I think for me, my favorite characters was Rock, you know, the gator or whatever. I really enjoyed him. He was really fun. Um like
Great
I don't know.
comedy.
Yeah, like he always was a comedy or whatever person. But he was kind of badass too, you know. Uh I mean, if I had my way, I would, eat hundreds of chocolate candy too. So, um, but I really enjoyed him just like referencing to everyone like as turtles, like black turtle, blue turtle. Like everybody was a turtle to him, and
What is he saying, Black Turtle? You speak his language?
so like I one thing about Rock that I really want to know, I want to know how he became to be what he is. Like, why is he calling everyone turtles? Like, how did he get to where he is? Because we didn't really get that. We didn't get to really see like anything about his past or whatever. We just got to see him as he is now or whatever, right? Um,
Mhm.
so I don't know. I really like him. Another one that I really liked was Anak, which was the um the lizard. I guess the daughter of the lizard princess or whatever. I don't know if you would call her a princess or not. That's what she's called in the show or whatever. The Jahad princess or whatever. She's the green lizard uh, girl,
I,
kid, I guess you
I,
could say.
I would not call her one based
Yeah,
around the events that do happen, but
yeah.
yeah.
She gets called imposter a lot. So, but I really liked her character. She was really fun to watch and see. Um, I think those are my two favorites. Uh, I was a big fan of Leroy Ra as well. Uh, One of the reasons being is that he, like I said, he's Nanami's voice actor. And like you could tell it. And he just like played that stoic, like by the book, type of character or whatever, like the instructor. Um, so I really enjoyed his character, especially that he kind of stood up for, I guess, what he believed in at the end or whatever, and got canned for it or whatever. So, Coon was really fun too. The blue turtle, as Rock calls him, he was really fun. I like characters like that. And it's funny that you mentioned like Sasuke or whatever. Like he kind of reminds me of like that vibe. You know what I mean? Like that like
He's
very
gonna be
intelligent,
someone.
very like just thinking, watching and thinking, and always ahead or whatever. Um, so he was fun to watch. I don't know, like I guess I guess there's only like one that I really disliked, and I ain't gonna say hate because I didn't really hate her throughout most of the show. But Rachel, I really dislike Rachel just because she plays her part well. Like it's a shock. Like when she does what she does, like it's a shock to me. That means she done her job well. You know what I mean? As a character, she's so good at manipulating and doing what she is set out to do that it made me hate her or dislike her. So, is there anybody that you hated or disliked or
um,
whatever?
yeah. I felt like you were taking a jab at me with the whole Rachel thing, so time to return the favor. No, but a knock. I
Oh,
really don't like her character. I think that she is super bratty, antagonistic. I feel like that ultimately, not that she was poorly written, but I felt like she was written to be a very negative kind of a character. It's hard not to feel for her, but at the same time, kind of, and it's again, it's not even hate because again, there's so much that we still don't understand, and given the backstory, it's hard to hate, but it's
yeah.
the same thing like with because the other one borderline is Yuri.
We was she was such a main, like she was such a big character or whatever, and then she just disappears.
Yep, yep, and not even that though. She's such a bitch at first.
Yeah.
for literally no like, why? Why are you acting like a diva?
Yeah, I don't know. Uh,
Fantastic though. I enjoyed it.
as far as like
Um,
Anak though, like, can you blame her for being the way she is though? You know, she came to the tower for one purpose, and that was to kill all the princesses or whatever, Jahad, because
yeah,
revenge or
no,
whatever,
I,
right?
I
So
I can't blame her, and that's the thing,
yeah.
right? Like, it sucks. I want to blame her. I want to, but I can't. It still doesn't make me not dislike her immensely.
Okay. Um, like, so speaking of like, I guess like Rachel and all that, were there any noticeable turning points for you during the season?
Yeah, actually, I would say it was the crown game.
Okay.
The crown game was probably the big turning point. At that point in the manhwa, I had not read.
Okay.
I didn't know Rachel came back. So I don't even think, was it even in 5? Yeah, it was in 5 when that happened. I think it was like 4 they announced it, 5 they shown her, but the fact
Yeah.
that she engaged with Bam, and then he got into that fight with Huaryan.
Yeah.
Um you
I
know,
think that could be a turning point. I can see that. Because that was a bonus game or whatever, right? So, and that's
yeah,
when like Rachel came into the mix all the way or whatever. So,
and then you start to really get more questions and stuff like that, and the show does its best thing that it does, and that's dance around the question and give you more questions. Feeds you a little bit of an answer for a question that you don't really want answered, and just still leads you on, like your ex-girlfriend. That being said though, that's probably the episode, because not even just that moment either. Sleeping bag dude. He
yeah.
he
That's what I'm
he
gonna
shows
call him,
you.
by the way. He don't have a name. He's
Yeah, his
sleeping
name's not
dude.
Lar. It's
Yeah.
sleeping bag dude. Sleeping bag dude unleashed that beam of the power, and just, yeah, that whole episode I feel really makes you start to really want to know more.
Okay. I think for me there was actually like two turning points. There was one in the very beginning that changed like the whole tone of this, show, and that was the battle royale or whatever, where they went from 400 to 200.
Yep,
Um,
episode 2.
yeah. So episode two, because episode one, like it was such a different vibe, and then as soon as we started episode two, it's just like, oh, by the way, like we're gonna, the test is to kill, or he didn't say kill, he said, uh, um, narrow the number down from 400 to 200. And that obviously means kill or take out or whatever. Um, which was pretty dark and gory, all of a sudden, especially when we see like the main character in the first episode, he doesn't really want to like hurt things or whatever. So it was like that was a big like turning point for me. I was like, okay, damn, this show's gonna be like this. And then the second turning point was actually when Rachel pushed the Bam off the damn thing or whatever, and we thought he was dead or whatever, right? That was
Yep.
a pretty big turning point too, because that up until that moment, like we didn't really we didn't really see that Rachel was um gonna do anything like that. You know, we knew that she was kind of upset or whatever, and
Yeah,
she had like moments or whatever, but we didn't really think that she
yeah.
was gonna do something that drastically. So, especially
No,
on the episode before the finale. So,
there's definitely hints that there was something else going on, but to take it to that extreme, that really I guess I would agree with you there too. That episode 12 was just absolutely monumentous as far as what it raised, what it brought to the table.
yeah. Um, I guess you know, going to you know, we talked a lot about like the sleeping bag dude using the power, all this other stuff. Um, like the power system, it was pretty unique. It was kind of like sophisticated as well.
Mhm.
So like not everyone could use it or whatever, but some people could use it extremely well. Um,
Well,
and that I think it's called Shinsu was
yes.
the
So the
I guess
take that I get from it, right? And correct me if I'm wrong after hearing this. I think of it like mana, right?
yeah.
It's everywhere. It's all around. Everything has it. It's not so much that people can't use it. It's that they're not attuned to it as strongly as others.
Okay.
And by having that attunement increases your ability to utilize it in an effective manner.
Would you say that Shinsu is kind of similar to like Reishi and Bleach?
Mm. All right, so forgive me. I I don't know too much about Bleach.
Oh, okay.
Um
So that's like the you know, like Yuryu and all them, like
I
they
would say yeah, it's kind of
yeah,
like that. It's more like a spirit matter that inhabits everything, right?
yeah,
Cuz the way how they describe it is it's the water. It's all around.
okay.
Everything is made out of it. Everyone interacts with the water, right? Some people get a stronger affinity to it than others, which I think was the point of that one test, the wall, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it
because
showed in that test too that like um some people can't like pass through it at all or whatever. Some people can't pass through it in the beginning, but then like I guess like willpower or whatever, like determination, they're able to like force themselves through it or whatever. And I think it's kind of cool that they mentioned that like on a higher floor or whatever, like you're in this amount of Shinsu pressure or whatever like the whole time, which is like that's pretty wild to imagine because we don't really see it like in the early floors, obviously. Because just imagine somebody like tracksuit dude Shibisu and Lennon, I think. It was kind of like struggling with each other, trying to get through it. Imagine them like
yep.
walking or like getting to that floor and having to walk through that or whatever. Like they couldn't do it. It's like
No, they'd be pushed to
spiritual
the
pressure,
ground.
like hockey and shit, right?
Yeah,
So
or like in Dragon Ball where they use the gravitational room,
yeah,
right, to
so
increase the gravity. They'd be walking under like three times gravity,
yeah, so
which is crazy.
it's a pretty interesting system. I'm
Speaking,
glad they
I
use
was
like a unique system like this. So
yeah, and speaking of unique systems, the pockets too. The
yeah,
pocket system is really cool. I like the idea behind it, right? Like
yeah,
everything is stored in there, all your information. Anyone can steal it, so you have to keep it invisible, but feeds you all your information and stuff too.
yeah, and like I like how they did it. Like they just like basically pulled it out of nowhere and was like, "Oh, by the way, here's this." Um, I think what's her name? Yuri and them like introduced it to Bam, and like we didn't really get a whole lot of info about it. We didn't even really know if everyone had, a pocket or whatever, but it turns out everyone does, but they don't get it when they come into the tower, I guess. Uh, because he had to be given the pocket, right? So
Hmm.
that all that's pretty interesting to me. Like, and they only explain like what the pocket does as they go on or whatever. Like as the tests are happening, I think like Coon or whatever. I'm not sure who explains it, but somebody has to explain it a little bit more to him. So, but it's a pretty interesting concept though. I really enjoyed how they did that. Um,
Same.
Speaking of like unlimited storage and all that stuff. Like, I want to talk about like Coon's briefcase because that shit was like pretty powerful, and I just want to like know how we don't really see we don't really see a lot of other people have a special weapon or special item or whatever like that unless it's like one of the swords or whatever, right?
Hmm.
So I'm just wondering like how he came to be in possession of this briefcase that has the ability to like um reproduce basically anything it puts in it or store anything that it's basically like a pocket that
Yeah,
has copying abilities or whatever, like reproduction copying abilities. Um like, do you think it's because of his family? Because apparently his family is a well-known family, even though we don't know a whole lot about them.
I think it's because of Shinsu. I think it's a Shinsu infused briefcase that actually gives it that infinite space, right? Because again, Shinsu is everywhere. We don't know a lot about it yet, but he also didn't struggle very hard to get through it, which means obviously he's acclimated to it. He knows about it. He's not Bam who just stood there and didn't get pushed back, but at the same time, I feel like it's definitely because of his family, but I think maybe his family was really, really strong with their affinity with Shinsu and was able to do stuff like that.
Yeah, so one thing about that is that correct me if I'm wrong, I think somewhere along the way they say that um he can't like replicate things that are enveloped in Shinsu. I think they actually I don't know what they do. They envelop something in Shinsu or something like that, and to prevent him from copying it in one of the tests. Remember? You remember what I'm talking about?
Not entirely.
Uh, so I'm trying to think what it was. Uh, I think it's actually the tag game. I think he couldn't like replicate the badges or whatever, right? Because they like surrounded it with Shinsu or something like that, and he said that he wasn't able to copy something that was surrounded by Shinsu. So, which is interesting because the only reason why I bring that up is if if it was in fact like his briefcase was like because of Shinsu, then you think that that wouldn't matter. And I think that it repels Shinsu or whatever. Like it's not compatible with Shinsu because as he was coming through the Shinsu wall, like he had an issue with his briefcase too getting stuck. So it just makes you wonder if like if there's something going on there as well. So
Well, that could have been too because he had those people in his briefcase at the time.
You're right. I didn't think about that. Maybe one of them was like, not really compatible or whatever. So okay, I see what you're saying.
Just
Um,
kind of had to force him through.
I don't know the whole briefcase thing. I want to know kind of where it come from. How did he get it? Um, like why it works the way it does. Like that's what I want to know. Um, but we didn't get to see that in this season. Hopefully, we get
Nope.
to see that next season because, like I said, that's pretty interesting to me. Another interesting thing is the swords, the month
Black March
swords,
and
right?
whatnot.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's 13 of them, and we only know of 12 months, right? So this is an interesting thing. So there's apparently 13 swords or whatever. We only seen two of them so far, March and April. Um, so I'm really curious about that. Why there's 13 instead of 12? Like are they all gave out already, or did they all have princesses? Or is he waiting to give them to uh princesses that come up there or something? Like that's all questions that I have. So what do you think about the 13 swords?
I mean, first off, I want to know what is the 13th month? Come on
Exactly.
now.
Like,
Like,
and why does it matter?
and that's another thing too. Um, but no, outside of that, definitely what are the other swords' abilities? What is the Black March's ability? We've seen Green April, it twirled around like vines and stuff like that. What does Black April or Black March do? That's what
Yeah.
I don't understand yet. We seen
And
we seen the lady inside the sword. Every sword is supposed to have one of those,
yeah,
from
and
what
we
I've
haven't
gathered.
seen April do that though. Like we haven't seen like the person in the sword or whatever. Like it kind of reminds you like a Bonkai, right? Or like a
Yeah,
not a Bonkai, but a Zanpakuto, right? So, but
yeah.
I don't know. Like I wanna know more about them. I wanna know why they have somebody in them or whatever. Like, how do they get there? Like, you know, why is there somebody in there? How did they get there? Is it like past people that get put into these swords? Like, I don't know.
Here, here's another question too. Why are women inside of these swords and then given to these princesses if that person inside the sword doesn't want to actually talk to said princess?
Yeah, she like March. To what now I'm saying, March will not like acknowledge a woman. Like she only wants to be held by a cute man or whatever, a cute boy. Which is why she like cooperates with Bam. So, which is interesting because apparently men aren't supposed to be able to activate these swords. Um, so I don't know. Like, it's just it's just a lot of interesting like things that are thrown at us over time. So, speaking of like interesting things as well, like we got all these tests. Like the test is what really made me enjoy this show. I feel like, it was pretty interesting. Let us see like a different test each episode or whatever. Sometimes more than one. Um, and all these tests are basically like trials in order for them to even get a chance to climb the tower. Like before they can even like step foot into the tower, or whatever officially, they gotta go through all these different trials and tests or whatever. So
Hmm.
like did you like that aspect? Like was there any like favorite ones that you really enjoyed?
Yeah, no, for me, I really liked the Shinsu wall test.
Yeah.
The Shinsu wall test was really good because of one, establishing the power system, two, the comedy that it provided with Bam, but three, also getting able to really see some of the characters that you would be interacting with, you kind of got an idea based around before anyone even attempted to cross the wall. You could kind of pick out a few characters and be like, he's probably gonna make it. She's probably gonna make it. She's probably gonna make it. He's probably gonna make it. Um, I would also say the Crown game. That was
Okay.
pretty fun. Um, and then the underwater hunt.
Okay.
The underwater hunt was good too. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like the 400 to 200 elimination test was still good. So was the ball test. I wasn't a big fan of the tag game though,
Really?
or position selection. Yeah.
Okay. So like I think my favorite ones was like the battle royale thing, the 400 to 200. It really set the tone of what this is actually, like the vibes that we was actually gonna get. Is what made
Hmm.
me like super interested or whatever, right? Because this happened so early on and so many casualties happen or whatever. I really enjoyed that a lot. Like you said, the crown game. The crown game was like the first time we actually got to see like Kuhn's mind, like at work, like a lot. Like he was like planning stuff out. Like we actually got to see him at work officially. So I really enjoyed that. And then obviously we get to see that Rachel came back and like all that good stuff. Um, and my other favorite one has to be the tag game. That's why I said, that because the tag game, like, you really like this, like, showcase Kuhn, right? It showcased him so good because he was like leagues ahead of everyone and during this game, the tag game. Like he basically orchestrated that whole thing before it even started and like manipulated it to the way he wanted it to end. And that was super fun for me to see all that setup pay off and then us us told how it happened or whatever. Like that was really fun for me. And plus we got to see like one of the rankers or whatever like participate, and we got to see like the difference. And like Kuhn, even though he lost in his battle, he actually won or whatever, right? So like it was a big fun time for me. So
I got you. I got you. No, I can respect that though,
yeah.
because Kun is, I feel, a very underrated character who doesn't exactly get the the most amount of showtime, I guess I would say, which is really unfortunate.
Okay. Um Speaking of like one of the main characters, um I got a question about Bam. Like he's called the 25th Bam, right? Um
Hmm.
like is there any theories for you like why he's called the 25th Bam?
I think I think it's tied to Rachel. I think she had been trying to ascend for a while, and ultimately, because she was stuck alone, that maybe she attempted to create a person, and finally one of those persons just happened to be real,
Okay.
and maybe it was the 25th BAM that she made. um because otherwise there's not really much else that kind of led anything to believe that anything else was different.
Yeah. I don't really know, to be honest. I thought maybe on the same like path as you. Like maybe it's something to do with like this is his 25th life or whatever, because he obviously has no memories of his past or whatever, right? And so either that means like his mind was wiped, you know, or like he was, you know, created or something like that with no memories or whatever. Like there's all them possibilities. And then I thought, as well that maybe he's like like the 25th irregular, right? Cuz there probably isn't like too many irregulars often. So maybe he's the 25th. You know what I mean? Um which would be interesting too. But like I said, obviously we don't really know. It could be any of those things. I think I would enjoy it more if there was like some kind of like creation story, like Nam was saying. Uh, I think that would be really fun. So, speaking of like fun things, you think there was a reason why they like introduced the 5 rows, like the fisherman, spear bearer, scout, light bearer, wave controller. Like they introduced that and they like kind of picked people for the roles or whatever. Um, and like it's assumed that like people try to climb the tower solo, but then why would they have all these different roles and make you work in a team as a test? Like, do you think that people don't actually climb the tower solo? They climb them in fives?
Maybe not even in fives, but I do think that they climb them in groups.
Okay.
And by having a role, if a group does happen to need a role, you can fill that slot. And now you'll
Okay.
be able to continue climbing said tower because you might not be able to come like get any farther unless you're in a full party. So if you lose somebody, you won't be able to continue on, right? Or maybe you need like just a couple people there to make it happen. Um, but if you're all alone and you're by yourself, right, and you come across a group that needs your role, maybe that will allow you to actually continue to progress. And that's another way that they stop somebody from just continuing to progress and killing everyone, even their own friends.
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of curious. Like, I was kind of confused at why they like. I guess Rachel, she always implied that she was going to climb it solo or whatever, right? Like that's what we was made to believe. Then they introduced like um the trio. Like we was in trios for like a majority of the test or whatever, ever since the second test I think it was. um and then they introduced the rows and like the five man groups. So I think it's going to be very fun if we actually do get to climb the tower in groups, or we see that happen in groups, because I
Yeah.
think that it would be a little bit more boring, I guess, if it was like a solo grind type of thing. So, um, I guess, I guess after that, um, I guess we can kind of talk about like the whole situation with the regular and the irregular. Like Bam, obviously find out that Bam's an irregular. Um, but it is found out later on that Head On, which is the guardian that they meet in the beginning, uh, he actually says that Bam was chosen. He was the one that was chosen, and not Rachel. Um, and so when Rachel went into the door the first time, it was actually supposed to be Bam. And then Bam like opened up a door and went in on the second time or whatever. So that makes that's where it kind of gets confusing. So does that mean that Rachel is a regular now, and we know Bam is an irregular, right? Because he was able to take the administrator test or whatever. He was nominated for that. But
Hmm.
is Rachel an irregular too, or a regular? Because she wasn't supposed to get in, but she got in place of Bam. It's a little bit confusing. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on it. Like, what do you
No,
think is going
I-
on?
honestly, it's hard to say because exactly that. But I do think that Rachel is an irregular. Bam is a regular. I think that Rachel's being played.
Okay.
I think that they are using her to try and get rid of Bam because I think that Bam, with his outburst, right, in the Crown game, he obviously showed he's got a lot of Shinsu power. Not to
Yeah.
mention with how much, how easily he got through that barrier, aka didn't even realize anything happened. The dude is incredibly powerful, and I think that there's somebody on a higher floor that does not want to see him go any higher and knew that he was going to be chosen. So instead, they came up with this plot. Maybe,
Okay.
maybe, right? Like if she created him and she was waiting for Bams to be taken, all of a sudden now she pins down the 25th. Bam gets taken. They're like, oh well, you're not actually supposed to be here. We were waiting for him. Let's go ahead and actually create this big old plot so we can get rid of him.
Yeah. So one thing that I think I think that if Bam would have went in first, right? Like if Rachel hadn't taken his place and he would have went in first, he would have been regular at that point, right? And I think that if regular Bam, I think wouldn't have been as strong, right? But since he is irregular, because he opened a second door on his own, um, like I think that automatic being a irregular automatically makes him stronger. I think it like opens the doors to being more stronger. You know what I mean? I think so. I think that if he would have got in the first time, like his power level would have been different than his power level now since he is an irregular. What do you think?
I mean, honestly, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm. But
But
I would say realistically, he's probably considered a regular, despite the fact that he got in through an irregular way, because he was originally chosen. And I don't think that you not making it through the gate doesn't mean that you're not still chosen. And it could be that that's why, right, that there's that test, right? The administrator test. What if that was the case? Here is your chance to prove it. That could be what that test was all about.
yeah, and like speaking of like the test, the administrator test, Kuhn actually was the one that wanted to do it. Um, but he wasn't informed, I guess, that a regular couldn't do it. It only can be done taken by an irregular. So uh Bam steps up and he's like, "Okay, like I'll do it. I'll take the admin test or whatever." And
Mhm.
cuz I'm an irregular. Uh and he was able to do it. So that makes me believe that. But then there's this little scene where while Bam is doing the test or whatever, we also see that it could be Rachel taking a test too at the same time. She's being asked the same questions as he is. But the only difference is he was in front of the um higher power or whatever you want to call it, like the big face, creepy looking face thing or whatever, right?
The deity.
Yeah. So Um, I don't know. Like it's definitely weird. I really haven't figured out what to think of that whole scene yet. Myself. Um, but there is like some interesting things that happened during all this time, and apparently irregulars like they're breaking the rules by entering. So they're basically illegal, right? And there's a rumor that goes around apparently that a great calamity strikes the tower when one of them is present. So I think that, in my opinion, I think that both Rachel and Bam are both irregulars because Rachel's not supposed to be there, you know? And Bam opened the second door, which is obviously illegal or whatever, right? And so
Yep.
I think they're both irregulars. And I think that, like, that's what everyone is, but they don't know that Rachel is irregular. There's only one that does, right? And that's like head on, right? So, but it was definitely like a big shock to me to see like the big like turn of everyone when he was announced that he was an irregular. Like everyone was so like surprised. Like it was like they kind of didn't like him immediately, all that stuff. Um, so that's interesting to see because we didn't really know a whole lot about regulars and irregulars at that point. So, but
Yeah, no, definitely very eye opening. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens because, again, without having a lot of information about the world itself outside of just the lower levels of the tower and one higher level floor, for all we know, it could be someone lying just to keep their power.
yeah,
You know,
um,
oh, you can't do this because something's going to happen. Ooh. Maybe the
and the
irregulars just don't like, going with the static flow, and maybe they would challenge them.
yeah, and like a funny thing is like Jahad, like the king of this tower, like when he first came into the tower, he was actually an irregular too. You know, he wasn't a regular. And like he was able to climb the tower and he became the god, like the king of the tower, right? So it makes me wonder, like, is that why it's kind of illegal to be an irregular? Because if an irregular happens to get in and climb the tower and go all the way, does that make them, are they able to like compete for the king position at that point? You know what I mean?
It's a very good question.
Um so like I don't know, like that's very interesting. Like, what happens if he does reach the top? Like, bam, what happens if he reaches the top? Like, do they like have one final test, like a 1v1 type thing? Like I don't know. Like I want to see that. Like I want to see what happens. Because there's a reason why Jihad is scared of like creating or like allowing these people to compete in the tower or whatever. So, um, and I was kind of wondering, like, did they ever say what happens if like an irregular passes the administration test? Like, is that they just get allowed to climb the tower at that point, or what?
To my knowledge, that seems to be all it really does.
Okay,
You
like
know,
just a
for
shortcut or whatever to climb into to gain
not
access
even
or whatever.
I wouldn't even say it's a shortcut, more like just proving that you have the right to actually do so.
Okay, yeah. Um, like that's one of the things I love about this show. Like, there's so many different like things happening that we only know just a little bit about, and like it leads us to speculate what's going to happen because we don't know. We don't really know a whole lot about it, but we know enough or whatever. So, um, but I guess basically there's only one more thing before, you know, we kind of like talk about like the future or whatever. And it's the biggest like story of the season one, basically. It happens in episode 12 out of nowhere, seemingly. But if you look back, like you could see things leading up to it or whatever, right? And that is Rachel pushing Bam off during the deep sea hunt or whatever, the sea hunt.
Yep.
Underwater hunt is the correct word for it. But Rachel pushes him off. Like, thoughts, I guess? Did we see this coming? I didn't see it coming.
I didn't see it coming either. And this exact thing right here is what makes Rachel one of my favorite characters. Cuz there's been all this build up over her and Bam, right? You
Yeah.
see all these flashbacks about her and Bam. Everything. All of these ties to Rachel and Bam. And then that shit happens.
Yeah.
So it sucks cuz it's like did she ever feel any kind of way towards him at all? Does she, does she even care that she potentially just got him killed? There's so
Yeah.
many questions there. And yeah, no, it was just never would have seen it coming at all.
Yeah. I don't know, like, for Bam, like Rachel was his life, right? Like he lived for Rachel basically.
Yep.
Like Rachel was the one and only. I don't really know. I don't really think like I think he loved her, but I don't think he like loved her in like that sense cuz I don't think he knows what love is, right?
Probably not.
Like he's very like I guess new or whatever, right? Innocent, I guess you can say, in this world because he doesn't really know anything except for what Rachel has taught him up until this point. And so like I don't know, I just like I don't really I guess I get why she done it cuz she became jealous, I guess, and like despised him in the end because, she was the one that was supposed to like she thought that she was the one that was supposed to be standing where he's standing. She thought she was chosen or whatever. And then it comes to find out that when she first entered or whatever, um, that head on was like, no, like you ain't supposed to be here. But like he bursted her bubble so fast. And he was like, he's actually your savior right there is actually the one that's supposed to be here. And I think it I think how they showed that, like they showed all these they basically like done like a recap session, right? In episode 13. Like it showed all the moments that led Rachel to making that decision basically. Like it showed like Rachel uh like going ever so deeply into like making or like being jealous of him like in each situation like she gets a little bit more jealous of Bam.
Yep.
And I really enjoyed that they went back and literally showed us like past scenes of almost a lot of the episodes and was like showing us her point of view or whatever, right? And like it was really well done. And that's when you realize like, oh, like we could have seen this coming, but we didn't have the one piece of information that made us start thinking this way. And that was at the very beginning when Head On told her that you wasn't supposed to be here. Like she's not a regular. She it was only by accident because he pinned her down or whatever, right? And she got into the door. And like that's crazy. And the fact that she literally taught this boy that didn't know anything, like she taught him basically everything he knew, gave him a life that he wanted to live, kinda, and then she trades it all for her dream and jealousy, right?
She just dip potato chipped.
Like
She's
it's
like
just so
later.
wild. Like I didn't see it coming, and when it happened, like my mouth was just open and I was like, "What the fuck?" You
Oh
know?
yeah. Yeah. I mean, cuz like they led up to so much too, right? Like they showed her getting injured. Now all of a sudden she's in a wheelchair for the second
Yeah.
half of the show. Bitch, no, you're not. Stand the fuck up. Stop playing that shit. Which is exactly what she did at the end. instead of like, "Oh, Bam, I'm so sorry." No, she stands up and pushes him. Like, are you really that desperate? Is it that big of a deal that you get there? You would have if you just stayed with him and hung out with him.
Yeah, but I think at that point it's not about getting there. It's about she was pissed. She was pissed at him, right? Like it wasn't totally about her dream or whatever at that point. It was that she was just so mad at
Yeah,
him for being chosen or whatever, right? And being more powerful. Knowing that she couldn't ever come close to reaching the top by herself. Like she would have to rely on him, or you know, kill him because that was the deal that was made in the beginning, right? That was her special test. So in
yep,
order, like she could kill him and she could gain, I guess powers, right, or access to the tower, right? I don't know.
access to the tower.
Yeah. So
She'd be able to start climbing the tower is essentially what they used. Which is
yeah,
sad too, because like, so many people want to climb this tower, so many people want to see all these things, and it's like, is it even really worth it?
yeah.
All we know is the princesses of Jihad who have the 13-month swords, January through December plus one.
Yeah, and
um
I mean, I know there's rankers, right? Like they made it to the top or whatever, and like they're like instructors or whatever. So I don't know, like, what do you get for going up there other than the achievement of ranker, right?
yeah, no, I mean it's a valid question. What are they
Uh,
getting?
yeah, I mean, it's said that they can get whatever they want or whatever, but like if they can get whatever they want, then why are the rankers still around, having to basically babysit and like do these tests or whatever? So I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
these are the questions that I want to know.
Yeah, there's
Also,
so many of them.
like to kind of wrap this up, how like what's your theories on how she was able to stand again? Like, do you think she was always faking that? Or I have a theory, but
Nope,
I want to let you go first.
I think that rat bitch was faking it from the fucking beginning.
So I think so. I don't know his name, but Rock's friend, right? Or Rock's rival, whatever you want to call him, the big dude that kind of resembled Rock, right? And
Uh-huh.
he was silent. Like he disappeared, right? Like
Yeah,
when Rachel got hurt, got stabbed, like when
he
she
did
was in
get
that
potato chipped.
yeah, when she was in that turmoil situation, like he realized that he had a realization. We didn't really know what, but then when she got stabbed, he just vanished, and that's what Rock said. Rock said he just vanished. So what if it was known that it was known that Head On? I'm pretty sure that Head On like gave that him to her as a bodyguard, right? That was her weapon or whatever, right? That's what he said. So what if when she got stabbed or whatever, that he vanished and like basically give his life or his existence to heal her back up because he was her bodyguard? What do you think about that?
I don't know. I feel like that one was a stretch. I think that ultimately it's been that meticulously thought out where they are essentially playing it,
Okay.
playing it very, very well. Um, I think that they said use this injury to feign that you can't walk anymore, get Bam closer, and then you guys will have this test. when you get to that
Okay.
test, do this. And who knows?
Okay.
Uh, they could be playing her as well, and he could be absolutely just fine, right?
Yeah.
Like it maybe they were trying to get him away from everyone else because of his power level and the fact that he's irregular, but they're not trying to get rid of him. You
Okay.
know,
Uh, and we see like one funny thing is like even after we learn that she's able to stand up, right? Because she stands up and pushes him or whatever off the ledge. Um, when she like completes the test or whatever, gets spit out of the dolphin or whatever, like she just assumes the position of like helpless Rachel again. She is still in her wheelchair, and like everyone else is like, this is what Bam would have wanted. He would have wanted us to help Rachel get to the top of the tower, and Rachel's still acting like she can't walk when we as viewers know that she can walk. And
sneaky bitch.
everyone assumes that Bam is dead, but what's her name? Uh, her Hurari Yun, whatever her name
Huarian?
is, the red haired chick that is the navigator or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call her Nami.
There we
she
go.
she finds Bam somewhere at the bottom of the thing or whatever, and it seems that he like protected himself with Shinsu and survived the fall, and so he's still alive. That's what we see at the very end of the season, episode 13,
Yep.
and no one else knows he's alive except for her. Um, so I'm just curious, like, what are we expecting out of season 2 now that now that we see Rachel like do one of the dirtiest betrayals in anime, and like we see Bam still alive. Like, what do we think is going to happen to end this uh Tower of God review?
Honestly, it's so out there, but I see a training period, right? Season 2, I feel, is going to have Bam actually training, learning how to use his abilities. I feel like again, there's probably going to be more clarification on the whole irregular thing. Maybe why it's so forbidden, and it could be something that's just again they're super powerful people. Um, I do expect to see the group carrying Rachel up a few levels, but I also see that there's probably going to be rumblings that she's going to hear Bam's still alive and have great concerns over it. I really hope that by the end of the season, though, Bam at least has an idea of where the group is or meets up with them.
So, what do you think? Do you think that Bam, like, even though he knows that Rachel pushed him, but since Rachel is his only, like, that's basically who raised him or whatever, right? So, do you think that Bam is gonna forgive her basically and like try to meet up with her and like uh I guess help her
Instantly.
achieve her dream or goal or whatever, still try to do what he set out to do, right? Or do you think he's going to go the opposite direction and like despite like hate her? Cuz I think that he's going to forgive her, and I think that he's going to try to help her or whatever again, and I don't think Rachel is going to like it or whatever. So,
Yep, nope. I don't think he holds any bit of hatred towards her at all. He's probably going to be confused, but I think that the moment that they meet up, that she's going to do something that's going to potentially cause harm to herself, he's going to jump in and save her. And she's probably not going to be able to accept the guilt anymore at that point. But
Yeah,
no matter what happens, Bam's a sucker.
I think that I honestly think that Rachel is gonna like go even deeper, you know, off the side. You know what I mean? Like
You
she's
really
gonna
think so?
get deeper into darkness. Yeah, because once she, I think once that she, I think that once that Bam comes back into the picture, he's obviously gonna be stronger at that point, right? And I think that seeing Bam, uh, like acting the same towards her and like being happy or like being forgiven or like don't even acknowledge what happened. I think that's going to really mess with her mind because she's so guilty. She's got such a guilty conscience about doing what she did. And I think that it's just going to screw her head up even more. And I think that she's going to be like a huge villain. She's going to have like a even bigger villain arc coming up somehow.
Okay.
Yeah. So I know it's a bit out there, but Rachel is just that type of person, bro. Like she like seeing Bam again and seeing him stronger and seeing him not like hold anything against her or whatever for what she did, like that's gonna screw her mind up, bro. I guarantee it. So
That bad though to where she's gonna go villain like 3.0?
I think so. I really do. I don't know. I don't really know a whole lot about like the floors and like how they climb it and like what the options are or whatever. Uh, but she's gonna find a way to go even insane, more insane than she already is working towards right now because we see her at the end like she's like laughing hysterically. Like you can tell it's taking a toll on her because she thinks that she killed, you know, Bam. So and then she's also going to be pissed that she didn't pass that special test that Head On gave to her because she did not kill him. So,
True.
but yeah, uh,
Although it could have been a ploy. He could have been testing her to see if she would actually do it.
yeah, I don't know.
There,
It
there,
could have been like the door, like the door game. So,
there's just
um,
so many different questions, and I am so excited to hear that it's coming out this next season, actually, right?
yeah, it's like July 7th, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So that's like a week and a half, 2 weeks or something like that from now. Like we said, it's going to be on a rundown or summer rundown. So, um, be excited for that. I guess. I'm looking forward to it a lot. With all that being said, like, do you have anything else that you want to talk about before we wrap this up?
Not for this week. No, no, I don't want to take away too much from Tower of God. I think that we got
Okay.
some good news out of the way. Next week, provided time permitting and schedule availability, we should be able to get what is it, two of them that we're planning.
Yeah. So we was aiming to we're gonna do obviously our rundown episode next week. It's gonna consist of Kaiju number 8 finale and Go Go Loser Ranger finale, and obviously One Piece. Um, that's gonna be
Woohoo!
probably normal time, hopefully. Like Nob said, as long as like the schedule permits it or whatever. This we was actually gonna take next week off for the DGen, but I think me and Nom's gonna do a little like chill shorter DGen episode. It's gonna be we're just gonna pick like 3 or 4 of our favorite shows from the springtime and like I guess talk about what we thought of them as a whole, like since the spring season has come to the end or coming to an end this week and wrapping up hopefully next week. We're just going to be talking about like our overall thoughts on like 3 or 4 of our favorite shows. We're not going to get really deep into like all the shows I'm watching or whatever. Like we're just going to talk about 3 or 4 of our favorite shows. Just do a like little quick DJ session. That way y'all got a little bit of something, instead of no episode at all. So hopefully,
Yeah.
like I said, hopefully our schedules works out, and we're able to do both of those for y'all next week. So, but I guess that's all we got for Tower of God. That's all we got for this episode, basically. Like we said, make sure you follow us on all the social platforms. We're doing big things on Twitter, Threads. We got Instagram, YouTube, all that good stuff. Make sure you're following us on all those. Make sure you're giving Nam a follow on Twitter and Twitch, Gaming Anomaly. Links will be in the description. Linktree.com/anime Degens for us. And don't forget, we're having watch parties now in the Discord. Like I think every Sunday. We're trying to do it every Sunday around 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, join the Discord. Come watch some shows with us. We're doing a different show every week. So, but yeah, that's all we got. We'll see you on Tuesday probably for the rundown finale.